the extraneous stuff becomes less important because you're not trying to fill the void of value and love with something that can never fill it. My advice is always like, be ambitious, for sure. Be able to define your purpose, for sure. But really focus on
one of National Geographic's most celebrated photographers,
adventurer and alpine climber, Cory Richards.
Here's a guy who's building a company, he's had this big career, he's been on billboards and shit like that. And what people don't see are those days where I sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the floor for 2 hours because I'm like, I know I have to do shit, I can't. I was diagnosed bipolar 2 when I was 14. I'd been institutionalized, put in hospitals. I don't believe that mental health is something to be cured. I believe it's something to be managed.
There's definitely been moments where I would want to hide away and just be by myself. It's like some days I don't want to go to the gym and train, but I'm always thinking about how I'm going to feel after.
This is a superpower when leveraged. So do we want to erase that? Absolutely fucking not.
What advice do you have for like the younger impressionable people?
You asked for advice. My advice is this.
Now, before we jump into today's episode, I just want to mention that this podcast is brought to you by me and everything that I have built to help you guys level up. If you want to transform your physique, build muscle, lose body fat, build strength, then you have the Thirst app. This has everything inside that you could possibly need to get yourself in shape, to hold yourself accountable as well. I also have the Digital Playbook, which is a step-by-step guide to help you guys build a following, monetize the following, and also build a strong personal brand. This is everything which I have done over the past nearly 10 years. To allow myself to live a life of financial freedom and also geographical freedom. I can basically do whatever I want. Life is good. And I also have my newsletter, which has been revamped, where I'll share exclusive podcast insights, my raw thoughts on business, fitness, and much, much more. So if you're interested about any of those, check out the description. You'll find the links to all of them. Now let's get cracking with the episode. Cory Richards, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I need to ask you, out of all the places you've been to,
yeah,
you've been to a lot of places.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Venice Beach?
To live. I think I lived in the mountains for so long. I grew up in the mountains. And then my whole identity was in the mountains. And when I turned 40 and I sort of, we can talk about this later, decided to like leave climbing, leave photography. I think it was like a washing of my hands that I needed to step out of that environment and just try something totally different.
Yeah.
And Venice is cool.
It really is. I've been staying there for the past week, maybe 10 days. And I always do this thing when I go somewhere and I like the place that I'm staying at. I just start looking at like property prices.
Yeah, of course.
How much is the rent?
Yeah.
Could I just like pick up and start living here and start a new life?
You absolutely could. But Dubai's, like, how did you land at Dubai? From Leeds.
Yeah. So it was I moved from London. So it was basically, I got fed up with the UK weather.
Okay.
It was pretty depressing. And like summers, you don't even get a guaranteed summer. So it was like, okay, I want to move somewhere warm by the beach.
Yeah.
And it left a couple of options. There was LA, there was Miami, there was some places in Spain, and there was Dubai.
Yeah.
And I'd been to all the places, and Dubai was the place that just, I felt like, okay, this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
This kind of suits me.
It's an interesting culture. Like, I love it there. But it's that strange mix between secular and completely non-secular culture, which creates sort of a vibrant clash, you know? And I think there's a lot of energy that comes out of that. Like, how do we create? Because there's no limit on creation there. Yeah. And then there's this deep cultural undertone too, which is strange, but cool.
Yeah, because there's certainly a lot of things you can't do and shouldn't do there, which has its pros and cons, because sometimes you feel like, you know, I can't fully express myself, or I'm not as free as I would like to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you're someone where like here in America, especially, maybe it's more the case in certain states compared to others, but I feel like you can do whatever you really want to do.
It's interesting because I was talking about happiness with Dan Buettner the other day, and we did an article together for National Geographic, but we were talking about the fact that like America indexes freedom above all other things. And a place like Dubai or Singapore, for example, they index safety over other things. So by biasing freedom, you actually potentially lack a certain amount of cultural safety. So that impacts mean happiness.
Yeah.
Whereas in Dubai, you're like, no, I'm safe here, you know, for the most part.
And that's the weird thing, because you could spend a serious amount of money getting beach house
Yeah.
on the beach in Venice.
Yeah.
Yet you walk outside and then there's quite a few crazy people knocking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like really crazy to the point where you do question, like, hang on a second, like, am I safe here?
Yeah.
Because those types of crazy homeless people are really unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They
you
can
really
be.
don't know what they're going to do. And then there's just like, there's some areas which are a little bit stinky. Maybe it's like a lot of trash there.
There's grit.
Yeah. Which, you know, if you're paying that amount of money, maybe that's not something you want when you step outside your door.
Yeah.
But then some other people just don't care. Like, I don't think it bothers me too much.
Yeah.
But I can imagine why certain people would not be happy with that if they're paying a lot of money for living somewhere and paying all the tax on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, California is hard that way, especially LA, because the homelessness is a real thing, which is really just a mental health issue that we haven't figured out how to address.
Yeah.
You know, and that's problem. I mean, the population here is fed up with, okay, we pay so much tax. How is this happening? And then at the same time, there's a personality to it, like you said, that some people love.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the grit of a city, but also the vibe of a beach. So,
and there's I don't feel there's any judgment. Like, you could really dress the way you want to dress. You can express yourself the way you want to express yourself. Like, on a weekend, on a sunny day, if you go up and down Venice Beach, you will see every type of character that you can imagine. It's like a video game.
It is like a video game.
It's like, it's just cool though, because everybody seems pretty happy. Everyone's just fully themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
It's interesting because I think that, you know, there's so much narrative right now around how excuse my language, but how fucked the world is. There's and certainly things are. There's like a feeling of some sort of cataclysmic edge that we're going over, and content, news, Instagram, TikTok, it reinforces this idea that we're unsafe, basically, that the world is chaotic and unsafe. But when you look around, like you go down to Venice Beach, right, on a Saturday, and you walk down that beach and you see thousands of people coexisting wildly peacefully, expressing themselves fully. You know, certainly there's conflict, internal conflict, just the human nature stuff. But ultimately, you see an example of how cohesive humans really are, socially cohesive. And it gives me so much hope. Like, we are wildly adaptive, creative. And when I see that, I'm like, certainly there are pockets in the world where things are really, really messed up. But overall, things are not fucked.
Yeah.
Things are actually really good. It's the most peaceful time in history. There's the least amount of poverty and hunger. Like, by most metrics, I think it was the 15th century or maybe the 16th century Florence, you had like a 50% chance of dying violently. You know, like, imagine that. Yeah. You just like, you wake up and you're like, I might get clubbed today, today, flip a coin.
It is a good time to be alive. I would rather be alive now than in any other time in the
150
past.
years ago, something happened to your foot. You got like a bad splinter. They're like, we're going to have to take it off, you know, like with a bone saw with no anesthetic.
Yeah. Instead of taking the toe off, we're like, no, we're going to take your whole leg off.
Yeah, we're going to take your whole leg off from the knee down. You're like, and everybody today is like, oh, my TikTok won't load. You know, you're like, dude.
Yeah, we don't focus on the good things enough, I don't think.
No.
It's always negative. Yeah. And that's probably one of the good things about Dubai is there is no negative news.
Yeah.
Which, like, some people don't like that, but it's funny because it's almost like ignorance is bliss. Like, of course, it's not perfect and there will be some bad things happening, but you just don't really hear about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's kind of nice. Like, I don't need to know about all the bad things that are happening in the place that I'm living right now.
Well, and also, that's really not that helpful to know all the bad things. Like, one of the things that I've really come to is I don't spend a lot of time on social media, and I don't really read the news that much. Now, I know some people would make an argument that, well, you're a white guy, so you don't have to, right? I actually think that's pretty intellectually lazy. It's very much a choice for me not to, because what I've noticed is when I do that, my mean happiness, my overall happiness radically diminishes. Whereas I've come to the understanding, as is evidenced by my life, that if I need to know something, I will end up knowing it.
Yeah.
Whether it's news or otherwise.
Because it will come to you, or you will look for it.
Well, it'll come to you, right? Like we invade Iran. I'm going to know about it. I don't have to get sucked down the rabbit hole and read 5 articles to understand that that's happened. If I want to engage with why, that's a different story. But when I spend time on the news, constantly flooding my mind with bad news, because that's mostly what news is, I'm like, well, my outlook has become sort of bleak.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
You know, most people sitting there on their phones reading that and feeling like everything's messed up, if we put our phones down for a moment and we really take stock of what's happening around us, most of us we're all breathing. Most of us have enough to eat. You know, yes, there's stress of bills and life and kids and all of that. But if you really level set to a presence, you're okay. And learning how to get back to that place in your nervous system is crucial. And I think that's sort of, when we talk about mental health, that's really what we need to be talking about, is giving people skills to level set to the place of understanding that things are actually okay, and they're probably gonna be okay.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people they don't have that self-awareness to know doing certain things, actions, whatever it might be, is going to affect how they feel. Like, I know the older that I've got, I understand that doing certain things is not going to make me feel good.
Right.
Whereas I didn't realize I was doing that to myself when I was younger.
Right. When did you, because I reference it as like becoming aware of your nervous system. When did that switch for where you could like identify that this doesn't make me feel good in my body?
I don't know if it was like an immediate switch. I feel like it was just a repetition of doing something so many times that I was like, man, I'm sick of feeling like this.
Yeah.
That I would go deeper into why is it that I'm feeling this way. And then I would start to figure out, it's because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I feel a certain way. I think in particular, I remember when I was living in the UK, there's nothing wrong with the UK, but I know that I'm a type of person that just I like warm weather more.
Yeah.
When I look outside, the sky's blue, the sun is out,
You
I see
feel different.
the water, the ocean.
Yeah.
That makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
So I remember when it was 2019, I had a bit more freedom to travel because I was making more money online. I noticed that I was happiest when I was traveling, when I was in these different places, when I was exploring. And I was like, maybe I need to change my environment. And I think a lot of people need to understand that changing the environment has a massive impact on the overall mindset and well-being.
Yeah, I agree. I think we also, we get in these systems, we create our family systems, we create our work systems, and then it does become legitimately harder to change the environment. But to your point, with an awareness and with will, and will has a limit, of course, but with will, we can change the environment.
Yeah. I think you get as well too caught up in thinking, well, this is my life and this is what I do and this is my identity. And they feel like that's that.
Yeah.
That they can't actually break out of that and completely change everything.
You can change everything. That's one of the things I talk about a lot is storytelling, right? Like, we are at our base level, the way I interpret it is like base level consciousness is storytelling. And the gift of language is to be able to clearly articulate our feelings, our thoughts, our desires, and to create. But language is only 100,000 years old, right? It's not, it's a third of the time that we've been sort of modern humans, right? And by virtue of language, we create stories. So we wake up in the morning, we tell ourselves a story about ourselves, about our life, about where we are, about everything. And it's instantaneous and it's ingrained. The beauty of story is that you can change it. And changing that story, whether it's about how you're feeling, about your family, whatever it is in your life, gives you the opportunity to then reframe the totality of how you're living. But that is very, very hard to do because most of us don't even recognize the stories we're telling. They're so ingrained that we forget to question them. And then those stories dictate our actions, which are basically on repeat. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like a habit.
It's a habit. And our thoughts are on repeat.
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes
incredible.
I wish I could just almost do like a reset?
Yeah, do drugs, do some psychedelics. That'll reset you, you know? Yeah.
When did you start telling your story?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's been, I would say, well, I think you start telling your story from the time you can start to articulate it. But my outward story, specifically as it relates to more mental health and the mind and that kind of thing, really started around 2016 after was on a trip.
How old were you then?
I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been talking about it. I'd been talking about my history before that publicly, but we did a Snapchat. It was when Snapchat was really big. We did a Snapchat expedition to Everest. It was called Everest No Filter. And we were trying to climb Everest without oxygen from the north side.
As you do.
As one does. And I was with my friend Adrian Ballinger. It was his girlfriend, Emily Harrington's idea. So we started Snapchat No Filter, which brought us everybody on this expedition to Everest. And right before we went to on our summit push, my anxiety peaked, my sort of depression peaked. And, and I did a couple snaps where I was like, yeah, I don't feel good, you know, and this is why, and this is my history, and this is what bipolar looks like in action. And this is how these things manifest. This is what precipitates it, and this is how it feels now. And people started giving a lot of feedback to that. And so that was really the beginning of telling that story. And then the story unfolded from there. And since then, you know, after writing the book and stuff like that, it has become really for me an exercise in, okay, that's one version of me.
Mm-hmm.
But how many others could there be if I choose to reframe the story more carefully or tell it differently or articulate it in a way that is not one of concrete identity, but rather a journey in which we are constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the invitation in all of it.
Yeah. How would you try to explain what bipolar disorder is?
Oh, God.
And this is something which
well, I'm very open about it, and I talk about it all the time. First of all,
like, can you have it and get rid of it, or is it you always have it, but you deal with it and manage it?
Excuse me, the question's too big. No, no, it's such a great question because again, back to storytelling. So I was diagnosed bipolar 2 when I was 14, and I was in this long-term care facility. I'd been institutionalized, put in hospitals, run away. I dropped out of high school, and I was a smart kid, so I'd gone to high school 2 years early. And so there's this cataclysmic fall, and I was diagnosed with this thing, bipolar. And to me, it came with this story of sort of fundamental flaw, brokenness. Something is wrong with my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a danger in specifically psychological diagnoses where it comes with this idea of deficit and certainly a lack of value. And to put it bluntly, this story of I'm fucked up, right? Bipolar and every other diagnoses are really just words that describe a cluster of potential behaviors that are recognizable. Mm-hmm. There is no story if you get to that, right? I experience spells of what's called hypomania, where I'm wildly creative, I'm very activated, I can accomplish many things. And then I experience moments where I am completely incapacitated, procrastinating, there's hypersexuality, there's all these, but there's no fundamental deficit to any of that. It's just a delineation around a pattern of behaviors. So I don't believe that mental health is something to be cured. I believe it's something to be managed. Mm-hmm. Because if you take out bipolar, you wipe away, this isn't factual number, you wipe away 80% of the world's greatest art. Is that something we want to do? Absolutely not, right? This is a superpower when leveraged, as is ADHD, as I would even argue experiencing depression and anxiety are. because they invite us into a deeper, more holistic experience of being human. And when we do that, we're able to connect with other humans on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
It amplifies empathy. It invites us deeper into conversation. It makes us more empathetic, right? So do we want to erase that? Absolutely fucking not. We want to manage it to minimize the negative impacts that it can have if not managed.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But bipolar itself, it can be very destructive if it's not managed, because you do wildly stupid things, especially when you're in a manic episode, which is different than hypomania. It's sort of like one step up, and it can verge on sort of psychosis, a psychotic break. And that's where people are like selling their house and spending all their money in one weekend because they have a brilliant idea that they're going to start the biggest billion-dollar company that ever was. And they're like, like that's...
Does that ever happen to you?
No, that's never... I've burned down my life a couple times. But hey, it's regenerative, right? The soil is tilled with new nutrients. So I try not to do that anymore.
Yeah. Was there a moment when you realized, oh, okay, I can actually do something productive and beneficial with this when you were having one of those moments?
Well, now I recognize it for what it is.
Yeah.
And it's more about, okay, this is happening. And to be perfectly honest with you, the last 3 weeks I've been in a pretty significant depressive episode. And it's been very hard to activate at times. So there's this perception of me externally that like, okay, here's a guy, he's building a company, he's had this big career, he's been on billboards and shit like that.
Yeah.
He must be killing it.
Yeah.
And what people don't see are those days where I sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the floor for 2 hours because I'm like, I know I have to do shit. I can't, right? Like I can't move. And it's become for me an exercise in understanding, okay, this is what's happening. There's no fundamental deficit. I'm not worthless. But it really hurts right now. And how do I engage with that pain in a graceful, compassionate way with myself? And ultimately, by recognizing it, feeling it, transmute it into creativity. So I see it all as part of my process now versus I'm so fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced depression or anxiety or?
I think there's not so much, I don't know if I could say depression, but there's definitely been moments where I would want to hide away and just be by myself.
Yeah. Isolate.
And I know that by doing that, I mean, sometimes it's good to be alone. You can,
for sure.
You can think, you have conversations with yourself, you can be creative and reflect. But there's times when I definitely need to push myself out there more, whether it be networking, socializing. And I think that's partially because I have more introverted tendencies. Whereas when I'm in a social situation, I would probably be the one that says the least, or maybe I'm just there like kind of just listening, observing, and maybe I chip in when I want to chip in. But some people would confuse that with me being shy, but I'm not shy. I'm just quite a reserved person. So there's moments when I know if there's a social event where I'm going to need to perform or, whether it be the center of attention, I don't know. I can think about that ahead of time and think, oh man, I don't want to do this. Like that's intense. But I always, either during or after, I'm so glad that I did it. And I feel really fulfilled. I don't know whether it's because I went and did something I didn't want to do initially or just because that the whole interaction and experience was really good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it could be meeting a load of people I don't even know, I've never met them before. And I'm like, oh God, like,
here
we go.
Oh shit.
But then afterwards, I've met some amazing people and had some great conversations. I'm like, what the hell was I even thinking beforehand?
Yeah.
So now I try not to overthink it, and I know what I'm like, and I just need to throw myself into it.
Yeah.
And then when it's even the same thing with the gym. It's like some days I don't want to go to the gym and train, but I'm always thinking about how I'm going to feel after.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to feel amazing after doing something that was difficult or rewarding, satisfying, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I was going to ask if I could have some of your triceps. Is that, or can you give me some of your chest? I'm pissed about this. I go to the gym every day. I look nothing like you. What the fuck is going on?
It's been 18 years.
Yeah.
Consistent. Yeah. But this is the thing, like seeing some of the things which you have done, I mean, I don't think I could do that. I think because I'm so comfortable with my routine and comfort and going to the gym. Part of me wants to go and do these crazy adventures, but also part of me just loves my routine and being comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
especially like the older you get, maybe in my 20s, I would have thrown myself into doing more crazy shit. But now I'm like, no, I'm okay.
how old are you?
35.
35. Okay. Yeah. I mean, certainly as I've gotten into my 40s, one of the reasons I left climbing, and it's not to say I won't do it again, but one of the reasons I left climbing was that I started to realize that my value is in some ways tied to the proximity to mortality and death. And so there was a higher value in risking more. And that's normal, like it's risk versus reward. But I kind of had to confront, is that the way I want to live anymore? Do I always want to be thinking about my own death and dying? Because that's stressful work, right? That's very stressful.
I can't even begin to imagine thinking about that too much.
Yeah, like thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
So when we were training to do a new route on Everest, something that had never been climbed, you know, leading up to that, it was a year and a half of training. We didn't end up succeeding in that. It was a year and a half of training, and I was poring over these pictures, and I would go to sleep at night trying to visualize in a healthy way, like success and completion. But I would often end up thinking about dying in an avalanche or getting hit by rockfall or falling down the whole face or whatever, you know, like constantly visualizing my own death. And that became untenable, and it became so stressful on my nervous system that the nervous system is essentially and eventually, for lack of a better word, just broke.
Yeah.
And I was forced by my own internal understanding and knowing that I had to change. I had to change my life.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever get hit on social media by some of these reels of people climbing Everest and they're filming actual dead bodies?
Oh yeah,
like in the snow, and they're still like all their gear is on. They're obviously not fully decomposed.
There's a picture in the book of that in bipolar. Yeah.
Do you know which page?
No, we can. I can find it for you. Well, here. Yeah, I mean, you go by and you when you're climbing, you do go by these bodies, and it is somewhat disturbing. Well, not somewhat. It's very disturbing.
Like, because it's one of those weird things, which of course you would want to capture it, and you want to show to the world
the reality of it.
Fuck, that is crazy.
So that's a picture of a guy just above 8,000 meters, so 26,240 feet, on the fourth highest mountain in the world called Lhotse. And I was climbing that in 2010. And I remember climbing by it in the night, and I saw these boots off to the side. And it's very strange the way it hits you, because in the middle of the night, you're sort of head down, focused, headlamp on the snow. And you see that, like, you know, you look over, you're like, oh, what's that? And you see its boots, and then you shine a little further and its legs. And so it comes on you quite slowly. And I do believe there's something that happens psychologically when you're confronted with the very real reality of death. And I think it changes you. And at the same time, there's a compartmentalization where you don't really have time for it, you know? But it's disturbing. And then it gets sensationalized also, you know, on Instagram and social media, where it becomes that thirst, or it generates that thirst for people to look at something horrific, because it makes them question their own, you know, finitude, which, you know, we're all going to die, you know? And so you're like in confrontation with the reality of it. It's just very graphic.
Yeah.
Because they don't decompose. They're still in their clothes. They look like like a whole human. They are a whole human.
Yeah.
And they are a human that had, when they inhabited that form, a whole universe between their ears, a whole world, like we all do. And at least for me, taking it one step further, there's a curiosity about, well, what happens to that the totality of somebody's, for lack of a better word, internal universe when they die.
Yeah.
So that's a long answer to your question.
What do you think happens after? See, probably another long answer.
Yeah. As one of my favorite things. Look, I believe we inhabit a pretty amazing meat suit on Earth, right? And we're these hairless apes that have created this incredible world around us, and as an extension of nature. I don't believe we're outside of nature. I think that's one of the fundamental issues that we face is we say things like man versus nature, which from a philosophical level is completely flawed. Man cannot be in conflict with nature. We are nature. So everything around us, even in this room, is a product of the natural world doing its thing. My belief is that that what we experience internally is essentially a download from sort of a collective consciousness. We are, in many ways, antennas. And the more we can refine our antenna in one direction or another, we get more input. So as artists or whatever it is, or creators, business people, we've tuned our antenna to receive certain ideas, and then those move through us and we create those things. The way I've tried to articulate this is there's essentially in my mind, there is a single sort of creative energy that exists. And I don't want this to sound too psycho-spiritual. I'm speaking about this on a very sort of pragmatic level. There's a singular energy that exists, and then you could call that collective consciousness. I like to call it love. I really do believe that's a singular thing. That comes in and it enters the prism of our experience. So you imagine a prism and white light, the Pink Floyd cover, right?
Yeah.
It comes in, we are that prism, it holds our experiences, and then that energy, whatever it is, gets fragmented and expressed in a rainbow of ways. And so my understanding or my belief is that when we die, whether we retain some sort of knowledge of this experience or not is really inconsequential. That energy signature goes back into that creative consciousness and then gets redistributed. So, but I don't know about multiple lives or, and truthfully.
What if science isn't there yet? Science nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say is Sebastian Junger wrote a great book. Why can't I think of the title? It's his In My Time of Dying. Okay. One of the points he makes is just because it's not measurable doesn't mean it's not true or there.
Yeah.
You could take radio waves as an example, right? For a long time, people were like, somebody just came up with this idea based on magnetism that there are radio waves. And it was a theoretical, mathematical thought experiment. People were like, are you fucking crazy? There's just waves going through the air all the time. We just didn't have the tools to measure it. Turns out radio waves are very real, and all of this is operating on exactly that, So just because we don't have the tools to measure something doesn't mean it's not true. And at the same time, getting lost in that thought experiment is just a conceptual exercise. It doesn't matter. You and I still showed up today as humans, had a hug, sat down, and are having a conversation. How that all functions offline or afterwards is cool to think about, but it doesn't really change that I just want to show up and be a good person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's something I think about more and more with each year, and I'm very open-minded to the possibilities of the reality that we're living in being anything.
Like it could be a simulation.
Yeah.
But I also go back to, okay, cool. So what?
Yeah.
Then I'm
just
just
going to change it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to engage with the simulation and I'm going to play with it as much as I can and see where those edges might be. And that's where we get into conversations about manifestation and all this stuff, which I take it all. There's a little bit of cynicism, but also I think there's validity to it. So I think in all these conversations around neuroscience and stuff, people sort of misappropriate information to fit their narrative.
Yeah.
And it's like, manifestation certainly on some level is very real, but how it's gotten appropriated and sold and now commodified is I think a little problematic.
Yeah. Talk to me a bit about psychedelics and how they've helped you in your journey.
People by this point are like, this dude's probably done too many drugs. Have you done psychedelics?
I have done, but it was more like as I was younger, recreationally in Ibiza.
Yeah.
So I've
Of course it wasn't Ibiza.
I've tried a few things, and
please, Ibiza.
That's
Joking.
that's how the English people say it.
Ibiza.
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 But obviously, in certain places, you just don't do that kind of thing. For example, Dubai,
Yeah, of
the Middle
course.
East, like
Don't do that.
you don't do that. Then in other places, okay, maybe. And I've had some experiences, and there's one in particular which I got myself in a bit of a K-hole,
Yeah.
and that was an extremely humbling experience.
Yeah.
Where I honestly feel like it just killed my ego. I was like, oh, okay, like as big and as important and as special as I think I am,
Yeah.
that can all be taken away instantly.
Yeah. Your pecs can get so big.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't matter. Yeah. Were you in a recreational setting when that happened?
Yeah.
So
it was not intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ketamine is really interesting, and I'll get to my experience with it because it plays into the mental health conversation too. Ketamine is interesting because it's dissociative and it's an anesthetic. It's one of the, we use it to anesthetize people. And so when we take too much and we're actually functionally conscious, it will start to narrow our vision, and we start, and eventually we're going to pass out from it.
Yeah.
And a K-hole is unpleasant.
Yeah. You feel like it's really hard to explain what it is if you've never been in it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, for me at least, I felt like I was trapped. I was going to be there forever.
Yep.
And this is now life.
This is your reality.
I remember just thinking, nice one, Mike. Like, you fucked it.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations.
It's now I'm going to move to Venice Beach and scream at trees. Yeah. And truthfully, we can do things to our brains that irrevocably alter them when we take it too far. I came to ketamine. I came to psychedelics later in life, when I was leaving climbing and leaving photography, because I had what's called a mixed episode, which is where your depression and your hypomania overlap. So your brain is sort of a chaotic mess at that point. I was feeling suicidal depression after sort of this hypomanic high, and yet they were existing concurrently. And I'd walked away from an expedition where we were making a movie. We had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there. And I came back to Boulder, where I was living at the time, and I got so depressed. And I had heard that ketamine, I'd actually heard about it really through Neil Brennan. Mm-hmm. He did a wonderful stand-up routine called 3 Mics, and he was the guy that co-wrote the Chappelle Show. So funny dude.
Yeah.
And I was curious about it, and I had heard that it's, it had a lot of efficacy for being a really good interventional treatment for treatment-resistant depression. And so I went in, I got hooked up. I did it in the doctor's office, and they, it was an IV drip, and then you put on, blindfold and listen to music and blast off. And it basically is like a hard reset for your nervous system, and it lights up all these new neural pathways that can change the way you're thinking about everything. So again, it's a way to shift your story and your narrative. And I did that, and I remembered for the first time what gratitude felt like. I remember for the first time, it was as if I was remembering something that I didn't know I'd forgotten. And I talk about it a lot in The Color of Everything, this episode that happened. And I like 2 days later, I was like, fuck, I feel so different. And then since then, I've gone down, a much longer path with it. And I've tried a variety of different things, ketamine, different heart openers like sassafras and 3-MMC and mushrooms and ayahuasca. And now I work with a medicine, a substance called 5-MeO, which is one of the bigger psychedelic experiences you can have, where the idea of your ego, even it's like beyond that. It's like, what the fuck is an ego? You know, rather than I'm losing my ego, it's like, what even is that? And I use them in very specific settings. Whenever I do ketamine, I do it at home with a blindfold on, with headphones on. And you can see, but there is no K-hole there. Yeah. The whole experience is to
you can't overdo it.
You can't, I mean, you can overdo it, but you can't, like the K-hole experience is really when you're functioning in the world and you're out in a social environment and then...
Yeah, I was at a villa party.
Yeah, you're at a villa party, right? And then but if you put your headphones on and you shut out the world, that's going to put you in a very different space.
Yeah, I probably would have had a different experience if I was just like in my bedroom.
For sure. Yeah, totally.
Wow.
But I'll say this, they're not for everybody. And I think they're problematic because people get lost in the stories of them. But they have been wildly influential and successful in reframing my ideas.
Well, I'll tell you what, even for me, I remember after that, I just was thinking about my life a lot more.
Yeah.
About where I was going, what I was doing, like, and I think particularly it was that summer where it was a very hedonistic summer where I was just living life to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then I felt like that wasn't very satisfying. Like I didn't feel good. It wasn't making me feel good. I thought it would make me feel good. But then I realized I just had no purpose. Like,
right.
What is the purpose of my life? To just enjoy it selfishly for me. Like, what a waste of potential.
Have you done the exercise of trying to define your purpose in one word?
One word?
One word.
No.
What do you think it would be?
God. Oh. It would just sound cheesy if I say it.
No. But see, I think this is one of the most important things. We have over-indexed on what purpose, or we've overcomplicated.
I don't know if I would say inspire.
That's a great purpose.
Yeah. Because not only, like with everything I'm doing,
right? It
started off, I wanted to help people get in shape.
Okay, so that's service.
It was to educate. Yeah. So I think I was speaking to Arthur Brooks about this.
Yeah.
I realized that the number one thing for me that makes me feel happy is providing a service.
Being of service.
Being of service to people.
So if you were going to, inspire's great. Service, I think, is this deep, fundamental human urge, right? And I think it does make us feel overall probably the most fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think that the goal is happiness. Dr. Gregory Brown talks about the idea of happiness being the goal is sort of flawed. If we focus on fulfillment, then we make space for the ups and downs because we're still living a fulfilling life. And so service is a deep, powerful purpose that then can express in a number of different ways. Mm-hmm. People always think, oh, my purpose is to tell stories. No, that's an extension of your purpose.
Yeah.
My purpose is to train people. No, that's an extension of your purpose. So I think for anybody, being able to articulate their purpose in a single word, list their values, because that then gives them a roadmap for living in integrity, that is a really powerful exercise that can be wildly beneficial, and it can change the whole trajectory of your life.
Yeah, because even after that experience with the K-hole, I started a podcast after that.
Right. Right. Amazing. Yeah. Right. So the K-hole, that sort of scary negative thing that was identified as negative, actually got transmuted, again, the prism thing, into something really beneficial and is of service.
Yeah. But I'm not trying to encourage people to do it.
Yeah, right. Go get lost in a K-hole,
Because there's two ways that could have gone. Like some people just, obviously, they start to experience the recreational drugs and they get hooked on it.
For sure.
And take it too far and destroy their lives.
Yeah.
Whereas it can also be used as a reset or just to think differently about life and what it is that you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so weird because I hear people talk about ayahuasca, and it annoys me because I don't know what it's like. I can't relate to them, and I'm so curious about what it. First of all, what it entails, the process of it, the experience itself and then the aftermath. But then I'm also scared if it was to affect me negatively. So let's say, for example, I'm ambitious, I'm driven, I've got all this stuff going on, and I want to focus on my business and progress.
Right.
But then I don't want to go and do ayahuasca and then be like, hey, none of this matters.
Yeah.
Like, social media is stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I go off social media. I don't care about business. I sell all my possessions and just live in a hut in Bali or something. I'm like, I probably don't want that to happen.
Well, yeah. Yeah, no, and that's fair. That's really fair. Two things I'll say. I think it was Timothy Leary. He said, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to wake up the same.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't decide that they want to throw away, and I wouldn't even call it throw away, fundamentally alter their lives in the way that you're talking about. But then there's the other reality is that if that were to happen, you wouldn't care.
I guess so.
You wouldn't care. So it's more of an attachment to what you have now, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
My very, very, I would call it educated guess is it's not going to do any of that. In fact, it might amplify what you're already doing because it's going to broaden your understanding of the different aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
And most of what happens that I see with, and I've not done ayahuasca, amplifies gratitude, amplifies service, amplifies compassion, and amplifies curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you take those amplifications and you apply them to your life, you're probably just going to expand.
Yeah.
That's not to say you might make some alterations around relationships and different things and different behaviors, but
yeah, sometimes I just think I want like almost like a nudge or a just pointing from a higher power, saying to me, do more of this.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Do more of this. Stay away from these types of people. Spend more time with these people.
What's interesting though is you already have the knowledge. You're already, see, you just said it. You're like, I would like the nudge. I'd like the cosmic nudge, but you already have the knowledge. And so more likely what's going to happen is you're going to go, oh, I already know what to do.
Yeah.
I've known all along.
Yeah.
You are, again, avoiding the woo-woo. You are the higher power directing the life. That's not to say you're God. It's just that you are part of that consciousness that has a profound intelligence around what we already know to be best for us.
Mm-hmm.
The hard thing is living in that, and that's integrity, living in alignment with your values. I'm not saying I always live in integrity. Fuck no. I mean, there's still a deeply hedonistic side of me that loves to engage in some fuckery and, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But your resistance to it, I find a lot of resistance to the ayahuasca crowd too, because oftentimes I see people who have sat with ayahuasca 50 times and are still behaving like a raging narcissist.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not the drug. That's not the thing. And it's like they're going back for the experience. That's fine. But if you're not integrating that into your life, you're just getting high.
Yeah.
And that's also okay, but don't confuse the two.
They're justifying why they need to go off and get high again.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, oh no, it's doing me good. It's good for me. It's like, how is it benefiting your life?
How is it benefiting your life? And there's a balance there, you know? So
well, how come you never did it?
I just haven't yet. I mean, I just haven't felt called to that specific experience yet.
Okay.
So I'm sure I will at some point in my life. But right now I'm happy doing this other work and I don't do it a lot, a couple times a year, you know. If I'm in a really difficult spot, I might engage with it a little bit more. But from a mental health perspective, I believe that psychedelics are the leading edge of how we can really address some of these issues on a broader scale.
Yeah, for sure.
So once they get legalized, you know. It's interesting though.
This episode is brought to you by Whoop. The all-new Whoop is here, the only wearable that turns your health and fitness data into personalized guidance. Now 7% smaller with 14 days of battery life. I've been wearing Whoop since 2021 and I've been wearing it every single day. It's a device which I have used to improve my training, improve my sleep, and stay away from the things which are definitely not good for me. It has been a game changer. Now, Whoop includes a heart screener with on-demand ECG readings, so you can check in on your heart anytime and share results with your healthcare provider. It also includes a health span, a new feature that demystifies the aging process and shows how your daily habits impact your pace of aging, as well as hormonal insights for personalized guidance throughout your cycle or pregnancy. It's the only wearable that gives you a truly comprehensive view of your body, designed to help you improve your performance, longevity, and overall health. So you can join now at joinwhoop.com/first things first to get your first month for free. Let's get back to the episode. What do you do with yourself now that makes you feel like, I guess, happy, or I don't know, fulfills you with that? And by the way, what was your word?
Which one? Oh, my purpose?
No, the word where you were to describe your purpose.
Yeah. My purpose is compassion.
Compassion. Okay.
Yeah, compassion. And service. Again, it's compassionate service. Meaning, like, one of the pieces of feedback that I get most commonly from The Color of Everything is people, to some degree, says we have very different life experiences, but I felt seen in a way I've never felt before. Mm-hmm. So there's a relating to the internal, and the book uses the external as a way to bring people into that. And my purpose is compassion, but to more clearly articulate that is to invite people into a more compassionate relationship and understanding with themselves. And when we do that, we become more compassionate to others. Mm-hmm. When we're confronted honestly with our own paradoxes, our own contradictions, our own struggles, and we get honest about them and we make space for them, then when we see those things in other people, we have a much broader space to understand them as a whole human, and that compassion is contagious.
Yeah. We
live more simply, more gently. My dad always said before he died, his words were, "Go gently." And it was this constant, beautiful reminder just to live with a bit less force in the world, mm-hmm. and a bit more allowance, and allow yourself to step into a flow with the world around you rather than forcing and thrusting yourself upon it.
Yeah. It's funny because when I think about some of the people I've interviewed, all these really successful entrepreneurs that have made loads of money and they're just obsessed with the grind and the work.
Yeah.
I don't think they're living gently.
They're not living gently. And there's a place for both, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking on now, to answer your question about joy, a more entrepreneurial path. I'm starting a brand. I'm really excited about it. Of course, I want to engage with the grind. Mm-hmm. And of course, we live in a capitalistic culture. I want to make a shitload of money. I'm not ashamed to say that. Mm-hmm. People
especially
always say,
in America.
Yeah.
There's that spirit. And
yeah, it's the land of it's the land of opportunity. But I've aligned that with being of service, meaning that my point, the more money I can make, the more I can give.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the ways to have a broad influence and impact in this culture, specifically as it relates to mental health, is to invest in initiatives, research, resources, access to mental health care. And the more I can make, the more I can mm-hmm. give and influence that, and hopefully be of service to a broader demographic of people, and invite them into a more compassionate and holistic existence that doesn't require that force and thrust. Because I don't believe that you have to have that to be successful in the way that those people have been.
No, and I think if I was too much like them, I would be miserable.
Yeah. And remember, it's only very rich people that will tell you that money doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's true because they have it. So they have that experience too.
Yeah. It definitely can help with a lot of the problems you might be having. And it certainly can make life easier.
In some ways, yeah.
But it isn't always guaranteed to make you happier.
And it doesn't mean you're going to have a better relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, sure, you can go on cooler vacations, mm-hmm. but some of the most unhappy couples I've ever seen are people in the celebrity space that have all the money in the world, and for whatever reason, they're like, this isn't it, but like it's supposed to be it. Yeah. Why am I not happy?
Well, it's like a lot of them are they're workaholics, and I look at them, I'm like, I would not trade lives with you.
Yeah.
I think if you can somehow, you can make more money, but then you still have your freedom,
Yeah.
and you can still pick and choose what it is that you do with your time. That's the goal.
That's
like
success.
for you to, if you can wake up and you're like, today I want to do this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then next week I want to do this, but you're in complete control of what it is that you do. A lot of these people I've spoken to, they can't do that. There's far too much responsibility with the business they're trying to build, or businesses that they're running, whatever it might be, or they're trading, and they've always got to be staring at a screen. It's like yes, you're making a lot of money, but you're trapped.
You're trapped by the pursuit, and you're not, well, I see it as you're defining success as more versus seeing money as freedom units.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all it is. It's freedom units. And if you're not using the freedom units for freedom, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the amassing of more ultimately is it's a no-sum end game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, and then you go, well, what? God,
You hit the target, you're like, okay, now this is the new target.
Now there's the new target.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more of the mind that like, make a lot of money to have a lot of impact, and then to be able to grab coffee with a friend on Tuesday at 11:32.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'll schedule you in a week and a half when I'm in town for, 5 minutes, and we can meet at this one spot and hug each other and have like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible to me.
Yeah.
So.
Do you ever miss doing some of the crazy shit? Like, do you ever think, oh, what could be the next crazy adventure? Or do you think like, it's been done, I don't want to do that anymore?
Well, I'd want to do it from a different place, meaning to say that the photography came from a place of service for others would be not accurate. I did that to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it had great impacts, but I loved being seen, and I loved climbing. I did love the act, but I also loved being seen and validated externally.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an extension of a lot of what happened, and a lot of what I talk about in my childhood in the book is going back to the story of something's wrong with me. It gives you a little bit of fuck you, watch me energy.
Yeah.
And look who I am in the world. Now, if I were to go back and go climbing, it would be from a place of, I love the way this smells. I love this environment. I love being above clouds. I love really engaging with that and doing it, again, for me, but not feeling like I have to hide it behind, this is all for you.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes I'm like, fuck, dude, all my friends who are still out doing it, I'm like, that looks really great. You guys have, but I think the next adventure for me is the evolution of how I can take all of that, again, that energy, and redirect it into something that has more impact.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And as you know, entrepreneurship is really scary. It's horrifying. And you're taking big risks, and you don't know if it's going to work. And there's the potential of catastrophic failure, at least financially, and it can really impact your life in negative ways. It's a carbon copy of going and climbing huge mountains.
Yeah.
It's just different, it's a different arena that you're stepping into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you always know you wanted to be more entrepreneurial? Was that always?
Yeah. I always knew I wanted to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I had the experience of, in my late teens, early 20s, working for other people. And I just remember I was working at Hollister. I remember I was working my ass off.
Yeah.
I was assistant manager trying to do what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember my senior just telling me, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, it's not good enough. I'm like, literally busting my balls, and it's not good enough. And even if I work harder, I'm not rewarded financially for working harder.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of, I want to do something where when I put more effort in, the rewards come back.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted the freedom to choose when I would work. Like I could happily work nonstop 3 weeks, but if I want to take a couple of days off, I want to be able to take a couple of days off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted the control of doing what I think is right.
Yeah.
And not somebody else tell me this is what you should do. It was like, no, I want to do it my way and have the full creative flow to do what it is I want to do.
When you were younger, when you were like a teenager, did you fight against authority?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in school, it was kind of battered out of me eventually because it was quite a strict school. But when I was in primary school, I was just running around wild, doing what I kind of wanted to do. But the reason why I got away with it is because my grades were still quite good.
Right. You were one of those lucky people.
I wasn't failing in school. Like I was going home and getting the work done, but I'd still I wanted that freedom when I was at school. But then I went to the secondary school, which was Leeds Grammar School, and they were really strict.
Right.
And I remember getting told off a lot, letters getting sent home, being like, if he doesn't stop messing around, he's going to get suspended.
Yeah.
And the worst thing for me was disappointing my dad.
Interesting.
That was always the thing I wanted the least.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to make him disappointed, so I cleaned my act up so that he would not be disappointed.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
And how are you guys close?
Yeah, close. Yeah. I mean, I would want to see him more, but that's the only problem with me relocating to Dubai. I don't see him as much as I would want to see him, but he's like being the best role model that I could have had for sure.
Well, you're obviously you've picked up some good things from him. I mean, as is evidenced by your life. It's interesting. My dad died in February, and he was 80. And just his birthday would have been, I think, Thursday. And I was thinking about him so much, but I was also just thinking about because as I'm sure you're aware, there's this really interesting thing happening with men and boys these days. Yep. And I think about how much we learn from our fathers and how much we learn from culture and how we can communicate more clearly and honestly the experience of being men in a very confusing time to be a man. And it's
I mean, it's weird as well because even as good of a role model he was, there was still a lot of stuff I had to figure out for myself.
For sure. Yeah.
Which I feel if I'm going to be a father and I have a son, like I'm going to tell him everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to prepare him fully.
Yeah.
But I feel as though maybe if I compare my life to my dad's life, he's stayed in one place pretty much. He's worked at a corporate company. You know, it's been a fairly risk-free,
stable
life.
Yeah.
Whereas mine is, I feel like it's been the complete opposite. Like I'll take the risks, I'll go all around the world, I'll do whatever. And with that, we sit down and we talk. I'm like, there's like probably a lot he's not experienced.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to kind of, I remember even just some of the business ventures I started and some of the risks which I took. And I would tell him about it, and he would just look at me like,
good luck.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
But I think as soon as it started to pay off, and especially with the whole social media thing, I mean, older people just don't get it.
Yeah.
And for him to kind of see, I think what changed his mind was when some of his friends or people were coming up to him and being like, "Oh, what's your son?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh." And they always have nice things to say.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
so I must be doing something good then.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately mostly what parents want is they want to see their children doing well, but also doing good in the world.
Yeah,
I think that provides a lot of pride for many parents. But he and my dad, I don't know how old your dad is, but they operated from a different generation that, where stability was sort of at a premium, but stability looked, and it is still in many ways, but it looked and felt very different. It's like, I'm going to work at this corporate job until I get my pension, and then I'm going to, and then I'm going to garden or whatever it is, and that's one way of doing it. And the world has shifted so much, but we still value, I think still as men, our culture values us from a performance perspective. Like, how well are you performing? How much status do you have? How much wealth do you have? And certainly I think there's a biological component of that when we're picking potential partners, specifically women. But I think what's so challenging at times, especially for me, is like, how do we move away from the performance, or at least lessen the value of performance?
Yeah, especially these days. If you're an impressionable teenager,
right?
You open up Instagram, like you're not told this is a good role model. You should listen to this person. This is a bad role model. It's like you kind of decide, I'm going to follow this person.
Mm-hmm.
And just because that person either has followers or, oh, look, they got these shiny cars and jewelry and all these nice things. You're like, okay, well, I want that, so I'm going to follow this guy.
Right.
And then this person is not necessarily teaching them good lessons.
Or values.
Yeah. That's what I see nowadays. It's just like there's a lot of females as well, but also males. There's a lot of role models which are not very good role models. And the problem is once you accumulate a following, you really have a responsibility, whether you like it or not, to be a good role model.
I totally agree. And I think one of the issues is, and we're going to do it today, we're going to cut, some juicy sound bites out, and we're going to put it on Instagram, and people are going to like what we say, potentially. And then you say something and it goes viral or whatever. A lot of times what I've noticed is what gets put out is too reductive. It's juicy, so it sticks. And also it can be just bad advice.
Yeah.
Especially in the mental health space, as much as there was a study that was done recently, and it was, a pretty loose study, but it's like they took 100 TikTok mental health influencers, and then or videos, right? And then they gave them to psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health professionals and said, what's the accuracy of this?
Yeah.
Over 50 of those videos were either contraindicative or bad, just bad mental health advice, completely factually wrong.
Yeah.
So, and that's mental health, where people are basing their ideas on something that they heard, a 15-second piece of advice from somebody who has no clinical education, who's picked it up from reading a couple books. And this is true with everything. It's true with diet. It's true with exercise. It's true. Because we live in a soundbite culture, we just take on these ideas and then we form identities around ourselves and ideas around the world that then can then be completely off base and lack values. And it can be coming from a role model who is potentially just not educated at all. Yeah. Or is just not a very good, I don't want to say not a good person, I don't really believe in that, but has an idea that can be harmful. And young boys and men are especially susceptible from the perception or from the side of what we're supposed to look like in society in terms of our performance. And young women are especially susceptible in how they should physically show up, what their value is. And that's mostly that's mostly sexuality. And for us, it's mostly money. And are those really the things that we want to be trading on?
No.
Yeah. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. What advice do you have for like the younger impressionable people? Would you just say be careful of who you're choosing to follow?
I would.
Because I feel like there's a lot of younger guys in particular who are just a little bit lost. In particular, many of them are just kind of like, well, I don't know what I should do with my life.
And that causes anger.
Yeah.
Right? And Scott Galloway talks a lot about, and I'm going to get his numbers wrong here, so this is not information to take away as truth, right? Listen to Scott Galloway. But he talks about how, 98% of women, some huge disproportionate percentage of women are seeking this disproportionate tiny percentage of men. And so this vast swath of young men and boys have no access to potential partners, right? And what that does is it makes them very angry. So they look for ways to access those potential partners, and they look at the metrics of those men that are sort of, they think are getting that, and then they pursue that. And they don't pursue it with thinking critically about it. They don't pursue it with looking at, is this actually true? Is this what people are going? Is it the money or is it ambition? You know, ambition is really great to go after. Is it status and wealth, or is it self-respect and confidence? You don't have to have the money. Ambition is great. You don't have to have the status and fame, but self-confidence and self-belief and self-respect are absolutely essential. Those are attractive qualities. It's kind of like when, this is another great one. It's kind of like when people hear, oh, grip strength is about, if I have a strong grip, that's an indicator of longevity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then they start doing grips, right? While they're eating potato chips. Grip strength is an indicator of longevity because you've lived a life of doing hard, heavy shit.
Yeah.
Right? The same is true. We think that it's about the grip strength. No, it's about your lifestyle. We think it's about the money. No, it's about what actually got you the money. And you might not end up with the same amount, but that thing is attractive.
Yeah.
Rather than the money. And for the people that are pursuing the guy with money, they're actually not pursuing the guy with money.
Yeah.
That's the trap.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a lot of the young guys who've come into money just purely from crypto.
Right,
They got lucky.
right.
So they got lucky with like the crypto, the meme coins, whatever it might be, and they haven't actually developed those characteristics that most successful wealthy people have accumulated from just going out and doing hard shit and communicating, making deals, like learning to just socialize.
Yeah. And I would say this, like if you ask for advice, my advice is this: be careful of who you follow. Question them critically. Just because they're saying something that resonates doesn't mean it's true. And I would hope, and this might sound a little soft for people, but I don't fucking care. The quality of your heart is the most important thing that you can cultivate. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, that is going to attract the most beneficial things to you. It might not be money, status, fame, but it will attract amazing people. And amazing people are the ones that are going to make your life fulfilling. It's community, it's love, it's time well spent. And when you're surrounded by those people, the extraneous stuff becomes less important because you're not trying to fill the void of value and love with something that can never fill it. So my advice is always like, yeah, that's great. Be ambitious, for sure. Be able to define your purpose, for sure. But really focus on cultivating being a good human.
Yeah, that's so important.
That's it, you know? The cars are cool. You know, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, it's cool. I'm not saying don't do it, but what's the heart underneath it?
Yeah.
And then also, I would suggest choosing to surround yourself with people that have good hearts and choose you based on the quality of their heart, not how you perform in the world.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm at a point now where, you know, I could speak to someone, you can almost feel their vibe. It's like it's something you can't really explain, but you feel it. Maybe it's your gut instinct, your gut feeling.
It's your nervous system.
Yeah. That is something which definitely improves over time.
Yeah.
Because when you're, like, I remember when you're younger, like teens, early 20s, I was too nice and too naive, and I just assumed that everybody was a good person.
Right.
And obviously I learned the hard way. And as you go through life and you meet more people, it becomes easier to filter the bad people out and to keep the good people in.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I don't know if I was younger, if, you know, there's certain, regardless of what people may have told me, like, oh, watch out for this person, watch out for that person. I just don't think I would have known.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, think of it this way. Like, you can teach knowledge, but you can't teach wisdom.
Mhm.
One of the issues with Instagram and TikTok is that we get these nuggets of wisdom and then we start parroting them, but our actions aren't in alignment with that. However, on the other side of that, this is a process. And there is something definitely true about being a young man that asks us to be a sort of the warrior archetype and go out and be a little forceful. And so it's still a process. It's still something that people have to discover for themselves. And that oftentimes takes hard knocks. And it takes learning that not everybody can be trusted. And it takes learning that the ambition doesn't actually fulfill you necessarily, or the attainment doesn't fulfill you. But those lessons are vital. They're vital. You have to go do it. In the same way that trauma, everybody's trying to avoid having trauma. Trauma makes us resilient.
Yeah.
Being born is traumatic.
Yeah.
Right? Life is savage. We don't want a culture in which we're not faced with challenges.
Yeah, you need it sometimes. Sometimes I actually miss, like, even you go through a bad breakup. As much as it sucks, you're not going to be more motivated to go to the gym and sort your life out during that pit. Like that hunger of, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah, the fuck you watch me.
They're going to regret doing that.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I wish I had that. Like, you know, when you get too comfortable and life is going great, you do fall into becoming a little bit more complacent. And I want to like snap out of that a little bit sometimes.
Well, it takes, like it takes more when you're younger. It's easy to just be like, okay, I'm going to go get it. And then you get a little bit comfortable and you're like, well, I don't need to go get it as much. Breakups in specific are an incredible source of, empires have been made. Whole swaths of people have been killed, like in the wake of a breakup, like, all right, I'm going to take over that whole fucking kingdom. Watch me, and yet to be in them and to experience heartbreak is truly one of the most, I would argue, the most painful experience that we go through aside from maybe death. Like observing loved ones dying. It is fundamentally life-altering when you especially, well, I don't want to say especially as men, I'll speak as a man, when you actually decide to give your heart to somebody freely. And that heart is then rejected. It cages us up. It has the potential to lock us up and be like, well, you asked for my heart, and I gave it to you and you didn't want it. I'm never fucking doing that again. Yeah. That's dangerous because that leads to more anger. That leads to more resentment. And anger is sort of the primary emotion that men are taught from a very young age, is sort of the only real reservoir that's appropriate for us. And that's tragic. Yeah. Like I'm sad. Well, I'm fucking pissed off. I'm frustrated. I'm fucking pissed off. Like I'm hurt. I'm fucking like, and we just get angry, and heartbreak can do that to people. Yeah,
I've experienced it, and I remember someone asked me on a Q&A. They were like, "What experience is an experience that everybody should have?" I didn't answer that question, but then it came to me after I filmed it, and I think one of them is the feeling of being in love with someone, like really being in love with them, and them loving you back. It's probably not always going to be completely equal, but when two people are truly into someone and you have that moment of love, it's like a drug.
It is a drug.
It's like, it is crazy. But the problem is when that person has fully let themselves go and you've given them yourself to them, usually it doesn't end well. I mean, even if you do stay together, that intensity of the love doesn't last. It just kind of evolves into a different type of love.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. To some degree, it is a game, and I'm a person who has given myself fully at times, too fully, right? To the point where then that becomes unattractive.
That's a tricky one to manage.
It's really tricky, right? But I also think the challenge on the other side for women, if we're talking about heteronormative relationships, or anybody on the other side, is rather than running away from somebody who's giving themselves fully, is to engage with it and say, hey, like, I love that you're doing this, and I'm requesting that you make yourself a little bit more inaccessible to me. And that allows me to want you more.
Mm-hmm.
That's a healthy adult dynamic that's operating on that polarity. And being able to communicate that and articulate it is essential for long-term, I think, is essential for long-term health and the longevity of a relationship in general. Mm-hmm. And that rather than withdrawing, the partner at that point is actually leaning in.
Yeah.
Even though they're saying, can I get a little bit more distance? I'm not leaving, but can I have a little bit more distance?
Yeah.
They're actually leaning into the issue versus like, well, fuck it. You've made yourself too accessible. Now I'm out.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do.
Yeah. I wish, like, the first time it happened, I wish my current self could just go back and be like, hey, look, okay, this is how you feel, but this is how you need to navigate through this feeling. Because if you're not careful, you're going to fuck it up.
You're going to fuck it up.
You're going to push them away.
You're going to push them away. And then we end up in that situation where we're like, man, I was just trying so hard. Not in a bad way. I was doing the thing that I thought I was supposed to do, and it didn't work.
Yeah. But going back to like the feeling of heartbreak, I think even now, as much as I don't want to experience it, I'm willing to take the risk to experience it again, because that feeling of being into someone it's so rare for me.
Yeah.
And it is, although when I think about it, it's scary. If a woman can make me feel like that and open up, then that means a lot. Like, that doesn't happen often. And I almost thank the universe for that person being in my life to make me open up. Even when now, like, I'm so resistant to it. And I'm like, I've got walls, like thick walls up now.
Yeah.
But the fact that there is somebody out there that can still break them down and make me open up, I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice.
Two things. A, the fact that you can articulate that you have thick walls up is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually going to invite people in, because they're going to be like, oh, he's aware of the walls, right? Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. And to say it the way I say it is like, hey, I'm not sure what I'm capable of right now, but there's an invitation into my life to explore that. And then that gives them the room to make that decision. The other thing I'd say, and this is something I'm really playing with recently, is I don't believe that other people actually make us. I believe that all love is, and all emotion is self-sourced, meaning all the relationship is a container in which you feel safe enough to generate that amount of love. Mm-hmm. You're actually not feeling love from another person. All emotions are coming from within. Yeah. And when you learn that, you can also learn to generate those feelings even when you're not in a relationship. And that creates an environment in which other people feel drawn to you, because you are literally walking around in love.
Yeah.
You're just in love. It doesn't have to be with anything or anybody. You're just creating that feeling internally.
And it's infectious. People like it. They're like, wow, they can feel it.
Yeah.
They want a part of it.
Just be in love with the world. Be in love with yourself. All of that is self-sourced. And all it takes is when you're sitting there, and you just think of it as, you think of, Ram Dass talks about this, but like, think of somebody you love or you have loved or anything that you love, and feel what it's like. Just generate that feeling and then push it out. And then just go deeper into it and then push it out. That is what being in love actually is. It's accessible to you right now in this moment to drop into that quiet place and know and feel what love feels like and generate it in yourself and then live in that. Mm-hmm. That is magnetic.
Yeah. It's powerful.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
But we think it's about the other person.
Yeah.
It's not about the other person. It's about the container that you feel safe enough to express that in. Mm-hmm. But you don't need a container, actually. The world is your container. Yeah. Your life is your fucking container. That's enough.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were in, like...
When I had those feelings?
Yeah.
I think it was last year.
Yeah. And then what happened? Was it just fucking terrible breakup? It just smashed you? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, I guess it was kind of flawed from the start. I don't know how much I should get into it, but it was, first of all, long distance, not
Yeah.
ideal. And then
Yeah.
second of all, it was just, maybe I confused it a little bit with passionate love a little bit.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, I don't think I truly knew the person from the beginning. I mean, this usually happens a lot in relationships. You see the best version of each other. Even
sure.
me, like, I'm on my best behavior.
Of course.
They're on their best behavior. And it's just, as time went on, the mask is revealed.
Yeah.
And then there were red flags where I thought, oh, shit. Like,
Yeah.
I thought this was like the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's these moments where you just realize, okay, this is not going to work. And then I had to come to the fact that like this person is not the right person for me. Long-term relationship, it's not going to work. But like this thing right now that I'm experiencing is great. And it's just really weird how you can be so close with somebody. Like literally, they are your best friend, and you're spending so much time with each other, and it's very intimate, it's very passionate. And then the next moment, it's just
Gone.
No like literally no contact. And then you're just kind of, you left there thinking, what the fuck was that?
It's confusing.
Like you just, it's almost like they've died. It's like they've gone.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's,
And as much as you want to like, you just want to reach out, you just want to message them, you just want to be like, hey, how you doing? You're like, it's not a good idea.
that's something that that's advice I would give to all young people, all people in general. When you break up, stop reaching out.
Yeah.
It's not a form of cruelty. And some therapists, people might disagree with this. This is just what I've sort of come to.
Yeah, I agree.
Is like, I'm not saying it's the best way. I don't want people to mistake what I'm saying as this perfect therapeutic advice. I've just realized if there's, and you can't do it from this perspective, but if there's a hope for a future at all, you need to give people space, considerable space. If you're having ideas about, oh my God, these realizations about what I did and how that person is not the person to share that with.
Yeah.
Share it with your boys, share it with your dear friends, share it with your parents, but give it space.
Yeah.
Because the constant reaching out is actually going to push that person further away.
And then if they choose to reach out again, which often, I mean, especially if your life is on a upward trajectory, they usually do reach out.
Yeah.
Then decide what it is that you want to do.
And then you're in a position of power.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a disproportionate way. You're just in a position of power to say, actually, I want to look at this more critically now and go, what was I attracted to? Was it an image of you that I had? Was it your beauty? Was it your money? Was it like, or was it your heart?
Yeah.
Because if it was your heart, then I'm more willing to explore. But if I can get really honest about like, was it your celebrity? Was it your whatever? And I've dated incredible women, you know, who are actresses and are, you know, that are very public and I've always asked myself the question, is it because I was enamored by their visibility or their beauty?
Just hypnotized.
Or is it because I really love their heart?
Yeah.
And I would say in general, it's because I love their heart, but that doesn't mean it's a great match.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, sometimes that's one of the reasons why I don't like to fall in love or have those really intense feelings, because I start to not think properly.
Well, of course,
like my rational brain and logical brain, which is, I believe, has got me quite far in life.
Yeah.
Is silence.
It's offline.
Yeah.
It's completely offline.
And then I just start making some wild decisions.
Well, you're in your feeling brain. You're not in your rational brain. And then you're just in your stupid brain, you know, and it can be about sex. It can be about, it's all the things. Yeah. It's crazy making.
It's so funny because it happens obviously with some of my close friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fuck. Like,
oh shit. Here we go.
And I try sitting down and be like, look, you're not thinking properly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
do not do this.
Don't do it.
And they're like, okay. And they go do it.
Yeah, I hear you totally. They're texting at the same time. You know, like, I'm coming. You know, like, it's just, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And then also, I think it's important not to be prescriptive about, you know, how relationships should be. And because again, we get on Instagram, we hear, oh, it has to be this way, or this is what nah, man, love is crazy, and it has many different forms, and they can all work. So stop trying to be prescriptive about, don't get too rigid about what it has to look like either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, bad advice. It's like, it has to look this way. You have to be, don't sleep with a guy until the third. Dude, half of my friends who are married hooked up on the first date and they're happy and great. You know,
Yeah.
Some people that doesn't work. They want to create a slower burn. That can also work. But like we live in this prescriptive world that's like, it didn't work this way last time, so it can never work that way again. Of course, it's good to be aware of that stuff, but yeah, I think we overthink fucking everything, dude.
Speaking of love, do you still have that love for photography?
So this is funny. We haven't talked about like any of the reason why I would be there or be here with you.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows who the fuck is this Cory guy. So I worked for National Geographic magazine for about 15 years as a photographer, and I was a working photographer for about 25 years.
And this is something which you taught yourself. You literally you went and picked up a camera and you...
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
And then I got some guidance from a guy named Andrew Phelps. Actually, the book Bipolar is dedicated to Andrew Phelps and my first photo editor at National Geographic, Sadie Courier. So I'm mostly self-taught, yes. But alongside of that career, I was working as a professional athlete, climbing, mostly Himalayan climbing, so Everest. And I was wildly in love with it at first, like wildly in love. And over time, like any relationship, it burned hot for a long time. And then it started to fade. And then I realized I was in an unhealthy relationship with it. Do I still have love for it? Yeah, in the way that you have love for somebody that you were with for a lot of years and then you broke up, and you can look back and go, God, thank you. God, what a beautiful gift you were, both as climbing and photography, And do I still love picking up a camera occasionally and making a great image? Of course. That doesn't go away. But as a career, I'm more excited about broader scopes of creativity and creation.
Yeah.
So, but I look at the work now.
I feel like even just skimming through the book, you've captured everything. Is there anything you've not captured?
There's a lot of places I haven't been, but I've done everything from adventure to conflict zones to climate change to disappearing cultures, and I've seen a lot, but there's a lot I haven't captured. But I've been able to touch on and visit some of the biggest concepts and sort of aspects of human nature. And I feel so grateful for it.
Yeah. I mean, even with social media as a whole, especially Instagram, I miss the days when it was all about the pictures.
Yeah, me too.
I love photography a lot more than I love video, but that's coming from me who has a big YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I do.
Do you ever shoot? Do you just pick up cameras and wander around and take pictures?
No, well, I think this is something which made me think when I reflect that I was maybe meant to do this. So whenever there was a holiday with the guys, when I was like 15, 16, 17, I was the only one there with a camera. So this was before iPhones had cameras. I had a digital camera. And I think I realized if nobody was going to take pictures, there would be no evidence of this even happening. So I wanted it for the memories. And also, I think the only social media platform at the time was Facebook. So I wanted to also share the holiday on Facebook with my friends. So without even realizing, I was becoming a content creator just by documenting the trips that I was taking. And I'm so glad I did, because I have all of these old photos still on Facebook today from when I traveled. And then when I went to university, the same thing happened. I was still the only person there with a digital camera capturing things. And then I think it kind of, the fact that when I found my love for the gym and I was getting in shape, I also wanted to show off to the world, like, hey, look what I've
Look at my bicep
achieved.
vein.
And
Yeah.
you want that kind of recognition from it. So it was a combination of both. Was I good at photography? No, everything was on auto mode.
Right. And shit, some of mine still are.
But it's something I'll always like. I mean, now it's a lot easier when I have my team.
Yeah.
One of my guys, Rob, who he loves photography a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how many pictures he's taken of me.
Yeah.
Probably in the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's you're capturing a moment in time of your life. And I know when I'm older, and even now I look back at the trips I've taken and I can just see like everything that's happened. And it's amazing. And I think I would like to learn how to use a camera more, but then probably means that I'm not going to be in the picture.
Which is my most famous picture, by the way.
Was it the avalanche, post-avalanche?
Yeah, it's post-avalanche in Pakistan in 2011, in the winter of 2011. And, I'll let people read the book. But yeah, we got hit by an avalanche and I took a picture of myself afterwards, after we survived. And then that was the cover of National Geographic, and it was this whole, thing. But one of the things that I encourage people now is outside of that is like what I see is people taking pictures of themselves in environments
but not the environment.
Yeah. So turn the camera outside of yourself, like document what's happening around you versus just yourself. My friend was just at the Louvre. And he had this funny comment about looking at the front of the line as people were going up to see the Mona Lisa. 90% of the people were facing away from the Mona Lisa, looking at their camera, taking a picture of themselves in front of the Mona Lisa. You're not there to show yourself. You're there to experience the most famous piece of art, for better or worse, in history. Put the camera down. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit that you went to the Louvre. That's a place just to be with yourself.
Yeah.
Like you've completely taken yourself out of the energetic artistic exchange that Da Vinci, had intended. Which is
it's the same with some of the nightclubs now.
Yeah.
Like if you're going there to enjoy the night, to enjoy the music, and to be present. And I see the videos now on social media, like everybody's like that.
Yeah.
Wanting to show off to the world that like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like be jealous of like the fact that I'm enjoying myself.
I got bottle service, bitches.
And then you see the point of view from the DJ. Nobody's dancing. Everybody's just like that.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to go to enjoy a party, especially in Ibiza, when I was like 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And it was a completely different experience.
Yeah. I wish more nightclubs would actually, and it's counterintuitive to our culture, but I wish more nightclubs would actually prohibit phones.
Yeah, I think that they are trying to do it. There's Michael Beebe. He throws an event every so often in DC 10 where it's a no phones event. Yeah. And the energy's completely different.
Totally different because people are connecting.
Yeah.
People are there for the human experience. And the phone, the suicide rate, if you look at the graph of suicide, the incidence of suicide and how steeply it's gone up, it starts at around, I think, 2011. What happened in 2011, 2010?
Yeah.
The iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. And then we had social media. And so this is not just a fundamental issue of like people being self-involved and taking themselves out of the moment. This is actually an issue of isolation where the phones are creating a deeper sense of isolation. We need, as humans, deep, intimate, emotional connection with other humans. And the more we spend time on our phones, and no, both of us are content creators. Yeah. So I get the irony here. The more we spend time on our phones, the more we're eroding the fundamental need of our biology. And that's making us fucking miserable. Yeah. And not only that, but we're comparing ourselves to the snapshots of the best moments of everybody else.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I not like that? Well, you're seeing, literally, when you think of it this way, I think of photography, shutter speeds, right? You are looking at 2,500th of a second. That's how long it takes for the shutter to snap, or 1/500th of a second of somebody's life. 1/500th of a second of somebody's life. And you're judging the totality of your life against that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it says nothing about if they're actually happy.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is that they're taking tons of pictures of themselves. They might not be as happy, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I know when I'm on social media, I'm less happy.
Yeah, I know the doom scrolling makes me feel very strange afterwards. If I get carried away with the endless scrolling, and I come out of it, and I'm like,
what did I just do?
Like overload of information.
Yeah.
And a lot of that information and content was something which hasn't really benefited my life.
Right.
I'm better off just being present and just thinking, reflecting.
Or feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the fundamental issue that we're getting to in humanity right now, is that we're not actually allowing ourselves to think and feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're outsourcing our attention, and we've built an economy around it that demands our attention, or at least we think it does.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we black out.
Yeah.
We literally black out. And it's not just social media. It's, you know, for men and boys, it's porn. It's all of these things that hyper stimulate us, exhaust our dopamine systems, and then make us feel shitty because we're in a deficit, like a literal hormonal deficit. And we're wondering, why do I feel like shit? So we go back to the phone or other candy or the porn or the drugs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, we have to wrap up. Unfortunately, studio time's come to an end. So, first of all, I appreciate that conversation.
Dude.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't even need to look at my notes.
Right, great. I love it.
That flowed.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, first of all, and the book?
The books. Yeah, the books. So I'll go with books first. My memoir is called The Color of Everything. You can find it on Amazon. That's the easiest. The one thing I always ask with the books is, if you buy it and enjoy it, buy it for somebody else. Don't tell them about it. Buy it for them, because we're much less likely to read a book that somebody suggests. And I say that because that's how we support artists and people doing that. The second book is called Bipolar, and it is a collection of photographs from my life. And obviously it's a nod to the diagnosis, but also it's both poles. I photograph.
This is going straight on my coffee table.
I love it. So, and then CoryRichards.com, or at Cory Richards on Instagram, and it's just Cory, no E. But yeah, and I hope people engage with this stuff, because, like I said, like it's about making other people feel seen and heard, and that's what I hope for my life. But thank you for having me, man. It's been I love these. This is one of the best podcasts I've done. They get better and better, but I fucking love it when people aren't looking at notes. Yeah. So you crushed it. I just want to say, like, this was amazing. Thank you,
man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.